welcome to the Album Man, and today for my first review of 2015 we're going to be going back to the past, continuing the AC/DC discography, and this is Fly on the Wall. Yes, I'm sure everyone was looking forward to hearing about this album because I know how much people love this album. Yeah, Fly on the Wall. It was released in 1985, and definitely to me, and I would say many, but maybe some other people would say earlier, but for me, this in 1985 really heralded the end of what made AC/DC great, and the classic riff-driven, raw, raucous rock and roll would never really quite be the same. There are very, very few AC/DC songs I would regard anywhere even near close the classic AC/DC songs of old to come from this period and onwards. There definitely are highlights, there are glimmers of hope present, so don't lose all hope on AC/DC's latter discography. But I can certainly say that Fly on the Wall is no such glimmer of hope. No, this is a blot mark on the wall of AC/DC. It's pretty much consistently enjoyable discography, certainly up to this point. So this is definitely the first AC/DC album that we've come to so far that I would actually describe not just as sort of average, but as bad. The songwriting is deplorably uninspired, and the production outright unforgivable. Right, let's first look at what the actual hell happened with the production of this album. Produced by the Young Brothers, it appears that between Flick of the Switch, which they also produced, and Fly on the Wall, I think maybe perhaps Heath Moon maybe came back from the dead and blew up a drum kit inside the Young Brothers' ears, because I'm honestly unsure how anyone with working operational ears would let such abhorrent production slide. So we'll start with the rhythm section. So Phil Rudd, due to drugs and drink, which is hardly surprising considering, you know, he's on trial now for various odd things. Phil Rudd, yeah, he's gone off the rails, but he's never been the most stable person the world has ever known. And he was replaced by the Dio drummer Simon Wright, who is, to be kind, a competent drummer. Should we leave it at that? I would say we'll just leave it there. A competent drummer. He's solid enough, but certainly not one beat on this album is above solid even in the minutest way, or even slightly interesting. So what do the Young Brothers do? Well, they decide to put him front and centre of the mix, and louder than pretty much everything else. Instead of, you know, they could have gone for everything louder than everything else, but no, instead they go for mediocre drums louder than everything else, which wasn't quite Motorhead's mantra. This has the effect of drowning the bass out significantly, but that isn't the worst offence. It's hardly like anyone's really going to miss Cliff Williams' bass playing, because we all know how simple that is at times. No, the worst offence definitely is the, well, okay, no, not the guitars. No, the guitars are actually okay. They're a bit low in the mix because of the obnoxious drums, but otherwise the tone is okay. I mean, I don't think it's as good as the tone they got in Flick of the Switch, which was definitely an improvement over those about to rock, had more of an edge to it. But let's just get on to the meat and potatoes, the vocals. The vocals are the sin that the Young Brothers commit here. And honestly, the vocals from Brian are why I hate this album. I've said before, vocally, I prefer Brian to Bon. I mean, you know, it's a minority opinion, I know, but I just really do. And his vocal performances here are decent and do the job. The problem is that it sounds as if Brian recorded the vocals down a telephone line from the middle of Siberia while residing in a tin can and using a potato as a microphone. There's so much reverb and echo slapped onto his voice, if you're not careful you could mistake it for a post-rock guitar. And this extends to the backing vocals as well. The production really is just what turns this dead-on-average AC/DC album into a bad AC/DC album. But still, we'll take a look at some of the songs, shall we? So, we'll start with the positives. There are positives. Sink the Pink is, as much as it's a song that I'm not majorly into, it's catchy enough, propelled by a strong guitar solo, with a riff that gives it enough to be worth a listen, even lyrically by AC/DC standards it's rather shite, to be quite honest. Though I have to say my favourite track on the album is one that's never really talked about when people talk about this album. It's just considered sort of a run-of-the-mill album track, but I've always had a fondness for it, and that's Stand Up. I mean, not that I'd put it anywhere near any AC/DC set that's ever made, I just really like the bluesy, driving rhythm guitar from Malcolm. I think Angus's bluesy licks really just add a flair, and there's just more of a hint of originality I found to Stand Up as opposed to the rest of the tracks. Though it does culminate in the frankly cliche, but I hate to say rather effective, stand up shout of a chorus, though of course no one knew as good as Stand Up and Shout by Dio. And the only other song I really see remotely mentioning is Shake Your Foundations. Many sort of consider this a good song on the album, and I agree, with better production this would have been a rather good song. They definitely managed to capture some of the rawness of the Bon era, and I think they channel it rather efficiently guitar-wise on this album. If it was produced like they actually gave a damn, it wouldn't have felt massively out of place on even something like Power Ridge, to be quite honest. Well, what's bad about the album? Well, where to begin? There's no shortage of what's bad about the album. I think we'll start with Danger. Danger is a song so overbearingly cheesy that it honestly makes Stryper seem about as serious as Radiohead. The way Brian sings the beginning as well, with these deeper, raspy tones, and seemingly attempting to give an air of credibility to the lyrics which go, "Don't talk to strangers, keep away from danger." I mean, AC/DC, are you trying to write a good rock song, or are you trying to write some really poorly put together sort of cross the road, or nothing? Or are you trying to write some poorly put together stay away from strangers for kids sort of infomercial type thing? I mean, what are you really trying to do with this? You can do better. We all know you can do better. I'm not expecting brilliance in lyricism, but at least something slightly amusing, or just slightly good. I mean, how at least Let Me Put My Love Into You on Back in Black is an amusing track. This is just not. We also, of course, have Playing with Girls, where Brian does his very best Robert Plant impression with orgasmic sounds that, combined to the production, fall even flatter than Axl Rose's career. If someone can find any redeeming qualities to this song, I'll eat my hat, for I fail to find any zits, nothing, nada, that is even remotely tolerable. Yeah, the vocals are just horrendous all round on this song, to be honest. Not just the production, I just don't think he sings it very well at all. And we have Back in Business, which delivers the same amount of thrilling, surprising excitement as Lou Reed's Metal Machine, and with Hell or High Water doing pretty much the same. And really at this point, that's the problem. AC/DC just seem as if they have nothing more to give, that they've run out of song ideas and exhausted the possibilities that their style offers. They're certainly going to milk the living hell out of it for years to come. This is a 4 out of 10. It's the worst thing they've ever done to this point in my discography, and honestly, the worst thing they ever did. This has been the Album Man. Thanks for watching, comment, subscribe, and as usual, long live rock and roll.